the history of this country. Is it so hard to imagine that an incomplete document that was endorsed in such a context would have so many shortcomings? All of our political disagreements stem from our incomplete constitution. Many critical articles are followed by the statement, another article shall further define this article. This has led to a standstill because each of us then interprets the constitution whichever way fits their interest. Laws are laws only when they are implemented. Writing them down on a sheet of paper does not automatically make them laws. The reason why these laws are not implemented is because the people who worked for the Ziad Barre regime work for this current government. Laws are always misused by those who are in position to do so, and that's the government, because they are in charge of everything. You will often hear that a citizen has been detained by a minister. How can a minister put a civilian in jail without an investigation or without properly going through the justice system? They will ambush your house.
This was especially common in the relationship between the previous administration and the House of Representatives. Following the legislative elections in 2005, the opposition political parties won control of the House of Representatives, which had great difficulty establishing a working relationship with the executive and the Gurti.
Two powers clashed here. The executive would reject any laws proposed by the parliament, and in turn, the parliament would block any motion proposed by the government. It was a real clash of two powers.
You are paralysed when all of the laws or acts that you pass are vetoed or remain unimplemented by the government. You feel helpless. The absence of cooperation from the government was the biggest challenge facing our House of Representatives.
Their disagreements on several issues, such as the formulation of a new National Electoral Commission and the extension of the Gurti's mandate, have led to a protracted and recurrent political impasse that delayed the elections and poisoned the political environment throughout the electoral process.
Whether for the purpose of a party, personal, or a clan, everyone is out for their own interest. No issue is pursued for the common good. This is the main reason why little of the laws proposed are enacted or implemented.
The confrontation between the House's leadership and the Gurti, as well as the executive, took its toll on the unity amongst the MPs themselves.
The problem is that our MPs are themselves confused. If they were not so confused, they would not be fighting inside their own building. During the campaign, they were telling the public that they would dig wells and they would implement this or that project. That's not their job. What they did not understand is that they are lawmakers. When our MPs abandoned the public that voted them into parliament, they rendered themselves powerless. Being accountable to and maintaining a solid relationship with the electorate would have been their strike against the executive.
The country's political establishment isn't very accountable to the public, mainly because the engagement of the public in the democratization process has been limited to election day. The rare occasions in which the public took an active role have ended in violence and the loss of both life and property. Although it had ultimately led to the death of civilians, the events of September 2009 had a significant role in ending the political stalemate of that period. Many people explain the public's poor awareness of the political process as the main reason for their inadequate engagement. The constraint Somaliland has experienced in its institutional development isn't limited to the parliament, as it is a broader challenge that is faced in many of the government's institutions. A case in point is Somaliland's judiciary system, which according to the Constitution should enjoy complete autonomy from the other branches of the state. In previous political disputes, however, the judiciary has remained on the sidelines, as some conflicts were simply resolved by other means or went unresolved.
Our mentality as a society is that only cases between civilians are to be resolved through the courts. We never take our political disagreements to the courts. The promotion, the dismissal, and salary scale of all personnel in our justice system is in the hands of a minister and governmental institutions. Because of this, I don't think our courts can declare themselves independent. Our constitutional court can neither interpret the Constitution nor can it provide justice.
Perhaps symptomatic of deeper problems, the legal framework seems to cultivate a culture of exclusion. For the youth of this country, the largest segment of the electorate, the age limit is but one of the many challenges facing their engagement in the political process.
There is an age limit in our constitution on who can run for office. It says that you have to be at least 35 years old to be elected. In addition to that, no one employed in the government seems to be retiring. The youth are terribly underrepresented in the political landscape because older men are always preferred over young people. The playing field would be much more levelled if people were judged by their qualifications. This is the only way the youth can emerge as real players.
Similarly, while no legal instruments exist to encourage the exclusion of women from the political scene, the reality is nevertheless perhaps just as grim.
Women are not part of the decision-making process. If they were involved, they could have made important contributions to the process. As such, our system isn't democratic because it isn't inclusive.
This is cultural erosion. When have we told our woman to become president? She was taught to raise a strong man. When was she taught to seek a top position? When she cries, for example, she's told, "There are gentlemen in the house with your dowry ready. Lower your voice, young lady." If we all run around chasing after the same position, then it means we have culturally eroded.
Outside the political actors, the role of various civilian stakeholders has been either absent or downright polarizing. Somaliland's mass media, for instance, has struggled to act in a responsible way.
Somaliland's media has worked very hard during the reconstruction of this country. However, our media today lacks the necessary knowledge base. Ignorance is hostile to everything. It's hostile to development, it's hostile to health, to civic education. It all comes down to ignorance.
The choice on what to broadcast is a key challenge for our media. They often air the inflammatory remarks exchanged by politicians. They should instead be airing what's in the interest of the public.
However, following a training facilitated by Interpeace and the Academy and the subsequent signing of a media code of conduct, Somaliland's private media demonstrated a degree of accountability. In conclusion, is Somaliland's democratization process only limited to the election of a new president, or does it necessitate the analysis and addressing of the challenges raised in this film?
wax ka haray ma jiro inaan dalkeena u wada shaqeyno maanta u taagannahay
haddii aad jariidada haatuf ay ku yara dhibto maandeeq baad iska soo iibsanaysaa no problem dawadna mabsuud baad noqonaysaa waad iska tegaysaa hadday maandeeq monotonous kugu noqoto geeska afrika iyo haatuf iska soo qaado ku qaylo dawadna iska soco warbaahinteen tadwaliga radio muqdisho hargeysana waa tii radio muqdisho
suldaan diiriya xeer loo sameeyey 250 sanadood buu mootay kii baan ku dhaqanaa kaawna ku dhaqanaa dhaqankii islaamnimadu ku salaysan nooca raaca cid maraykan oo naga ratay markaanu sii eegnana cid naga ratay oo noo aqoon kale noo furtayna ma jirto waxaan qabaa anigu dimuqraadiyaddu heerkay ku soconaysaa inaanay heer ay inaga hirgeli karto ahayn
berigii hore la dooran waxay noqon jiray walla computerka yar haddaan eego dalkuba waa dherg laakiin wadda loo marayo ya may garan aba dhergan xagaynu u maraa maaha tii Clinton iyo meeshaa joogtay baashu marka way rag reer magaala iyo ma isalay dad kale ka sheekeynay reer nimadoodii ka guurey dhaqankoodii ka guurey wixii ka dibadda isagiya baalkii yaraaba isku waashay dibadda qaar baan ilaa maanta imanba meesha